following program has been made possible by a grant from the Lawndale Cable Usage Corporation.
He said yeah.
Huh?
The guy said yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, fans. Good evening. Hi, I'm Rufus Washington along with Alex Manila, and welcome to another CIF Southern Section Bay League High School Football Contest. Tonight's game, of course, is the game, the one that we've all waited for all year long. Crosstown rivals, Leuzinger Olympians, visiting over at Hawthorne at the home of the Hawthorne Cougars. This game for Leuzinger is essentially a playoff game. There's a lot at stake on both sides. For Hawthorne, it represents an opportunity to win the Bay League title outright. For Leuzinger, it's a chance to force a three-way tie for the Bay League championship. Leuzinger also needs this game perhaps to get into the playoffs as they come in with a 5-4 record. And we've got the opening kickoff that's going to sail deep. It's taken, however, and being brought upfield. Now we've got the officials signaling that there was a touchback, apparently. And if that's the case, that's going to bring it out to the 20. Leuzinger did win the opening coin toss and elected to receive. They'll be moving from our left to our right as we start tonight's game. And as we were saying, it doesn't get any bigger than this on either side. You can see the visitor side of the field is completely filled. Of course, it's not a long way for them to get here. They're just coming across town. This game doesn't really matter what the records are. It's played almost completely on emotion. One team could come in 9-0 and the other be 0-9, and the 0-9 team could go home with the victory. The Olympians keep it on the ground to start with. That's Jason Simmons, number 10. He's got some running room, almost breaks it. Brings it out across the 50-yard line in the Hawthorne territory down to about the Hawthorne 47. So Leuzinger opens the game with a big play from scrimmage. That was a 33-yard run by Jason Simmons to get the Olympian attack underway. And if they're to have a chance tonight, they're going to need a lot of big plays like that, not only from Jason Simmons, but Don Williams, who had an excellent game last week, gaining over 220 yards on 12 carries. Of course, those Cougars are no slouch on offense themselves, and I'm certain we'll see that when they get the ball next. Simmons keeps the ball again. It's going to be brought down after a short gain. Let's also take this opportunity to wish everyone a very happy Veterans Day and tip our hats and salute to all the fine men and women who've served in our armed forces so very capably and admirably over the years, defending the cause of freedom and democracy, not only for the United States but around the globe. Happy Veterans Day to all those fine people. Second down now for the Olympians. Once again, to keep the ball on the ground. And it's going to be out near a first down. Looks to be about a yard and a half short. Makes it a third down for the Olympians here in the early going. While we've got a chance, we want to say thanks to all the fine people at Hawthorne High School for their hospitality here and making for some very comfortable working conditions. I can tell you, with the threat of rain in the sky tonight, you certainly enjoyed being here. On the third down play, the Olympians keep it on the ground. They're going to be stopped short of the first down. It's going to bring up the first decision-making part of the game for the Olympian coaching staff, whether to go for it on 4th and short or to punt away. Olympians still have not made their decision yet, as you can see. Although with Jason Simmons, quarterback number 10, still being on the field, and now you're going to get a timeout. It looks like it's going to be taken by the Olympians. So with 9:39 to go in the first quarter, we've got a timeout by the Leuzinger Olympians as they face a 4th and short early in the contest, and wanting to take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to them and certainly not to waste any. They'd like to take the time out to strategize just a little bit further. As I was saying, Hawthorne comes into tonight's contest ranked number 1 in both the Daily Breeze and the Times South Bay polls. Leuzinger is ranked number 8 in the Daily Breeze poll and number 7 in the Times poll. But rankings have very little to do with what will be the eventual outcome in this game. We've seen a lot of exciting Hawthorne-Leuzinger contests over the years, and this one figures to be pretty much the same. These two teams actually found themselves in a similar situation a year ago. Leuzinger came in needing a win to force a three-way tie for the Bay League Championship, and they left victorious by a score of 28-24. They're hoping to see if they can do it again. Of course, the Cougars want that title outright this year, so the Olympians go for it on 4th down, and they're going to come up short with the defensive play for Hawthorne. That was number 3, Omar Morgan, 5'8", 160-pound senior. Makes a big stop on the play. So Hawthorne will take over on downs for the first time at their own 40-yard line. Let's see how the Leuzinger defense responds now. Of course, the Hawthorne offense is led by number 16, Kenji Tatum. Joined in the backfield by Eric Cheney. Gives it off to Eric Cheney, and he's going to be stopped for a very short gain, if any, on the play. Leuzinger, of course, is a very tough defensive football team, and they're capable of playing with the best of teams on the defensive side of the ball. Sometimes their offenses struggle at different points during the season, but the defensive guys have always been there, and boy, have they got a big task tonight. Quarterback keeper by Tatum, and he's going to pick up about 5 yards on the play. It's going to make it a 3rd down and 5 now for the Cougars. This is their opening drive of the contest after having stopped Leuzinger at their own 41-yard line on downs. And we do see Justin Stallings out on the field. Of course, you know, earlier in the season, Justin Stallings hurt his knee, originally diagnosed as torn ligaments. However, it was upgraded to sprained ligaments. He missed a couple of games, but he's in the Knights contest, and he's out wide to the left. Justin, of course, is number 9, one of the highly rated players in California. Got flags on the play before it gets underway. We'll see what the official call is. And it's going to be a procedure call against the Cougars, and that's going to back them up 5 yards. So now they'll start their first down play from the Leuzinger 45-yard line. 1st and 15. 8:14 left in the first quarter. Scoreless game so far. Hawthorne sends a man in motion with a single back in the backfield. They throw out in the flat to Justin Stallings, and it's a little too high. Kenji Tatum averages about 15 passes a game. However, he's got good numbers on his passing game. He hits for about 50% of his passes. He's also only had 1 interception this year, and he's thrown for almost 1,100 yards with 5 touchdown passes. A very capable quarterback. Once again, they throw out in the flat. This time it's a little low. Pass intended for Monjero Jones. So with the incompletion, it's going to make it a 3rd and 15 now for the Cougars. This is almost a sure passing situation for them. Tatum lines up, drops back to pass, and it's going to be brought down by a furious pass rush by the Olympians. In on the stop was Rudy Casillas for the Olympians. Rudy's a 5'7", 160-pound senior. And he forces a punting situation as it's a 4th and 21 for the Cougars. And the punch and the snap was bad, and it's going to be recovered by the Olympians. So there's a break for the Olympians early in the first quarter. They take over at the Hawthorne 37-yard line. It's going to be 1st and 10 for them, as there was a poor snap from center, was never able to be handled by the kicker, and it was recovered by one of the Leuzinger defensive linemen. So Leuzinger catches the early break and will seek to capitalize on it, as we've got 7 minutes, 20 seconds to go in the first quarter. Both teams just a little bit tight in the early going here, but you should expect that in this type of contest. I think they'll settle down in just a little while, and you're going to see some fine football. Leuzinger with a single man in the backfield. He's met at the line of scrimmage. That's number 2, Don Williams. Williams, of course, had the big game last week, as we were telling you, against Santa Monica, where he rushed for 220 yards on 12 carries. 2 carries of which were for exceptionally long yardage. One was 73 yards, and the other was about 80 yards or so. And the 80-yard, if I'm not mistaken, went for a touchdown. An 88-yard touchdown run by Williams, in fact, last week in the third quarter, that extended a 7-0 Leuzinger lead out to 14-0. So this time out of the I formation, Jason Williams drops back to pass, looking for a receiver. He's got Aaron Williams deep, and he hits him, but it bounces off of his shoulder pad, incomplete. Excellent throw that time by Jason Simmons, attempting to hit his tight end, Aaron Williams. So that'll make it 3rd down and 10 now for the Olympians. And that was one of Simmons' best passes I've seen all season. Jason's play over the past couple of weeks has been a little spotty, although it improved considerably last week over 2 weeks ago. Last week they played Santa Monica and beat them at home. 2 weeks ago they played Culver City and lost to them. They keep it on the ground. That's Don Williams. And Williams is going to be short of the 1st down. They call it officially 4th and 4 for the Olympians from the Hawthorne 30-yard line. This is Leuzinger's 2nd possession of the game. Last time they were in this situation, they went for it and they were stopped. In fact, there was a loss on the play and Hawthorne took over on downs. Once again, Leuzinger's going for it on 4th and 4. Out of the I formation, Simmons takes it, hands off to the second man through, and he's going to be stopped once again. So Hawthorne holds for a 2nd time as Leuzinger goes for it on 4th and short and is unable to convert. So you see Kenji Tatum, number 16, wearing 16 tonight, normally wears number 4, leading the Cougar offense out on the field. They take over, ball just inside their own 30-yard line. They keep it on the ground, and he's going to be stopped right at the line of scrimmage. That was Kelvin Hunter with the carry for him. And the Leuzinger defense, once again, very, very tough. Makes a stop after they advance the ball, maybe a foot across the 30-yard line. So let's call it 2nd and 9 for the Cougars now. Got an official stoppage in the play. Now we're back to live action. Now we're going to have another official stoppage, and there's a flag on the play. So once again, things just a little shaky in the early going for both teams. Officials doing a real good job tonight, keeping things in hand, however. I think that they're keenly aware of how competitive this game is and how high the emotions run. And in fact, we've got a 4-man crew tonight And normally we see a 3-man crew working most of these games. Actually, it's a 5-man crew working tonight. Now there are going to be more flags on the play. It looks like it's going to be offsides this time against Leuzinger. But let's see if they were drawn off. It was 2nd and 4 if it's against the Olympians, and it is. That's all. That should be a first down for Hawthorne. So you see Kenji Tatum at quarterback. Number 1 is Khaleesi Muala, and number 6 is Eric Chaney. Chaney gets most of the work at running back. Tatum drops back to pass, and he's hit hard on the play. Hit hard by number 41 for the Olympians, and that's Marco Villada. Okay, here it is right here. Makes it a 2nd down and 15 now for the Olympians. Out of I formation once again. They keep it on the ground, and they're going to pick up a few yards on the play. Still be way short of a first down and make it a 3rd and long now for them. Once again, we've got an official timeout. We're at the 3-minute mark of the first quarter. Still scoreless contest. Hawthorne having stopped Leuzinger twice on downs as Leuzinger was in their own territory. And now Hawthorne is trying to convert a 3rd and long and keep their second drive going. Backs are split this time. Kenji Tatum rolls right. He's got some running room, throws a pass, and it's just incomplete. Right off the fingertips of Omar Morgan. So it makes it a 4th and 10 for Hawthorne. Another punting situation. The last one didn't go too well. Let's see if they're able to convert the punting situation this time. And this is blocked by the Olympian defenders. I think that was Marco Villado, and he falls down on it, and Leuzinger is going to get it once again in excellent field position at the Hawthorne 26-yard line. That was indeed Marco Villado on the punt block for the Olympians. So they're going to start their 3rd drive once again deep in Hawthorne territory. And if you're Hawthorne, you've got to realize that this isn't a good sign, at least in the early going. Although we did get some rain in the area, the field appears to be in pretty good condition. Some soft spots in the middle of the field, but otherwise, things look pretty good. Kenji Tatum fakes the handoff, keeps it himself, picks up good yardage on the play, moves it down inside the Hawthorne 20. You're going to spot it just inside the 20, right at about the 19-yard line. Tell him I still don't have anything on here. All right, 2nd and 3 for the Olympians now. They keep it on the ground. Looks like they're going to be near a first down. And the official indication is that it is a first down. So the Olympians now moving the ball have it at the Hawthorne 15-yard line. Single back in the backfield. They keep it on the ground. And they're going to be stopped for very short gain on that play. It's going to make it a 2nd and long. That was Don Williams with the carry attempt for the Olympians. And in fact, they give him no gain on the carry, so it's going to make it a 2nd down and 10 for Leuzinger from the Hawthorne 15-yard line. We've got about 45 seconds to go in the first quarter here of a scoreless contest between the visiting Leuzinger Olympians, clad in white, against the homestanding Hawthorne Cougars. This time with the carry for the Olympians is Derek Norris, and Norris picks up maybe a yard on the carry. And that should be the last play of the first quarter. So after 1, we're going to end up scoreless. That's been a pretty good contest so far. And I think these guys are just getting warmed up, folks. And that is the end of the first quarter. When we start the second quarter, it'll be 3rd down and 10 for the Olympians, deep in Hawthorne territory. And let me just say to all you fans out there, of course, the playoff schedule hasn't been ironed out yet, but as soon as we know it, we'll certainly make it available to you, and you can expect that Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 60 is going to make every effort to bring you the very best playoff coverage we possibly can of either both of these teams or certainly one or the other. We know that Hawthorne obviously will be getting an invitation because no matter what happens tonight, they end up with a share of the Bay League title, and the worst they can leave out here with is a record of 8-2. On the 3rd down play, they pitch it back to Don Williams. He's trying to turn the corner. He's got some running room. He turns it up. He's going to be close. Don Williams has a touchdown for Leuzinger. So Leuzinger strikes on the first play of the second quarter. And there you see Don doing some push-ups there. He's got some energy left over. But, son, you better save that because it's going to be a long night tonight. You see on the replay here, Williams strung out to the right, turns it upfield, gets a couple of good blocks, and there he goes in for the touchdown. So Don Williams, coming off a big week last week, carries it in from about 12 yards out for the Olympians. And they strike first at the 11:53 mark of the second quarter, the opening play actually, for a touchdown. Here's the extra point attempt by Marco Velardo. It's up and it's good. So Leuzinger, visiting, puts a little heat on the homestanding Hawthorne Cougars by taking the early lead of 7-0 here in the second quarter. And if Hawthorne was looking for a reason to get motivated, they just found it. Set to do the kicking duties for the Olympians is Marco Velardo. Back deep for Hawthorne is Kelvin Hunter and Omar Morgan. Ball's going to be taken by one of the up men, however. And he's got some running room, brings out across the 30, out near the 35-yard line. That was Eric Cheney who returned that kickoff. So, from their own 33-yard line, Hawthorne now goes on offense here in the second quarter, trailing by a score of 7-0 to the visiting Leuzinger Olympians, who are trying to pull a daily double by coming in here tonight and winning once again, just as they did last year, and forcing a three-way tie for the Bay League championship. That's Cheney with the pitch from Tatum. Cheney strings it out to the left side, picks up, maybe 3 yards on the carry. And the guys in the truck doing their usual superb job, also on camera. Brian, Rami, and of course, Tom Strickfaden sitting in for Mike Galarza tonight. And you've got motion on the line. We'll have to see who it's against. I believe it's going to be against Hawthorne. And it is. So that's going to set their calls back 5 yards. That sets them back to their own 34-yard line, makes it a 2nd down and 10 now for the Cougars. Justin Stallings over here on the near side to us. Once again, they keep it on the ground, however. That's Eric Cheney, and he's open. He makes a couple of moves. They may catch him. This is going to be a foot race now. And Eric Cheney falls down of his own accord, but not until he's gotten inside the 10-yard line. So Eric Cheney breaks off the big run and gets the Hawthorne crowd back into it. We see here on the replay, inside handoff to Cheney. He breaks through the initial line of containment, fakes out Jason Simmons, and now it's just a foot race, and he trips over the 20-yard stripe and falls down at about the 15. So from the Leuzinger 15, they give the ball once again, or keep it on the ground, and it's going to be a touchdown for Hawthorne. That was Raul Sanchez with the touchdown run for Hawthorne. So Hawthorne strikes back at the 9:54 mark with a 15-yard touchdown run of their own, and now they attempt to draw even with the extra point attempt. You see here on the replay, once again, looks like the way they're playing so tight on the line of scrimmage that if the back gets through the line, it's almost clear sailing. Snaps a little high, but the kick is up, and it's good. So at 9:54 of the second quarter, we now have a tie ball game. And as I said, folks, it's getting ready to be party time down there on the field, because both teams now have settled down a whole lot. We're seeing you guys starting to do what the fans expected of them, and that's to play good football and to make a lot of exciting plays. So Leuzinger took the early lead in the second quarter, 7-0, and Hawthorne answers right back within 2 minutes at the 9:54 mark with a touchdown of their own. Now you've got the kickoff. It's going to be taken by Jason Sharp. Sharp heads up the middle, and he brings it out over the 25-yard line before he's brought down by the Hawthorne defenders. In on that tackle for Hawthorne was number 44, Kavika Purcell. So Jason Simmons brings him up to the line of scrimmage with Fernandez and Williams in the backfield. This time he hands off to Roman Fernandez, and Fernandez takes it out near the 35-yard line. Here you see on the replay once again Fernandez, who's a big back for them. Gets a lot of the heavy-duty work for the Olympians. Of course, Roman is a 5'9", 190-pound senior. This time the backfield is split. They give it to Fernandez again. Fernandez bulls his way forward, picks up a couple of good yards. He's going to be awfully close to a first down. And it is a first down for the Olympians. So the Olympians now trying to answer back to Hawthorne's touchdown that tied up the contest at 7-7. We're about a third of the way through the second quarter at the 8:30 mark. Backfield split once again with Don Williams and Fernandez. They give it to Fernandez once more. And once again, this guy takes a bunch of Hawthorne tacklers with him for about 3 yards. Peninsula, of course, which is the other team that's in that three-way race, plays tomorrow night at Inglewood. And, of course, Inglewood is 1-8, 0-3 in the league, and you can almost mark that down as a Peninsula win. That's why this game means so much. The pitch back to Don Williams. Once again, he turns the corner, got some running room, picks up a first down, pulled down in an awkward fashion. Let's hope that there was no injury on the play. And it doesn't appear to be in. I see Don Williams coming back to the huddle. Looks like we had a flag on the play as well. And obviously it was against Hawthorne as they moved it off deeper in the Hawthorne territory. And they moved it off 15 big yards. So that's going to help the Olympian cause as it takes them now down inside the 35-yard line of Hawthorne, where it's going to be 1st and 10. The offensive lines are going to be so important tonight in this contest, folks. Simmons drops back to pass, goes across the middle, looking for Aaron Williams, hits Aaron Williams. And the ball is loose. They're ruling it was a fumble. It was caught and fumbled, and now it's a touchdown as it was recovered by a Leuzinger player in the end zone. Let's see who that was with the recovery. Was that Williams? It was Aaron Williams. He caught it at about inside the 10, fumbled. Officials say there was a good catch and a fumble. And then after it came loose, players went after it. Aaron Williams came up with it, and it's a touchdown for the Olympians. Here you see the replay. You see the pass there to Williams. You see it get knocked out. The official indication comes out that it was good, and Aaron Williams gets on top of it. So it was a 35-yard touchdown pass from Jason Simmons to his tight end, Aaron Williams. Marco Villato's extra point attempt is up, and it's good. So Leuzinger strikes right back and scores a touchdown on the 35-yard pass from Jason Simmons to Aaron Williams. Extra point by Marco Villato. And now they go back on top by a score of 14-7. And fans, in a little over 4 minutes, 4 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact, we've seen, count them, 1, 2, 3 touchdown scores. Now I ask you, have these guys gotten loosened up or what? Marco Villato kick looks like it's going to sail out of bounds, and it does. That draws the flag of the official. There is also a procedure, or I'm assuming that they call it because it goes out of bounds, a procedure foul against Leuzinger. So we'll have a re-kick. Back deep to receive for Hawthorne is Omar Morgan. Omar wears number 3, and Kelvin Hunter, who wears number 5. Last kick was taken by the up back Eric Cheney. This time it's going to be touched by number 5. They're having a difficult time getting a handle on it. That's Kelvin Hunter. And Hunter's going to be driven out of bounds up near the 20-yard line. Looks like a little past the 15. We'll see where they officially spotted at. And that's where Hawthorne will go on offense now, attempting to answer back to the Leuzinger touchdown that answered their touchdown. This game could come down to a matter of who has the ball last, because we've seen both teams score on the last 3 possessions by both teams combined have led to scores. So it's a 1st down and 10 for Hawthorne. Ball at their 15-yard line. They keep it on the ground this time. It's going to be a very short gain on the play. There was Eric Cheney with the carry. And Eric, of course, came into tonight's contest having carried the ball 130 times for 896 yards, averaging almost 7 yards a carry, and scored 17 touchdowns for Hawthorne. Once again, they keep it on the ground. This time they hand it off to Raul Sanchez, and Sanchez is going to be driven backwards, but I think they're going to give him some forward momentum on that, some forward progress. So it's going to make it a 3rd down now for Hawthorne. 3rd and very long. Let's call it 3rd and 14 for the Cougars. We're in the 2nd quarter, fans. Visiting Leuzinger Olympians, leading the homestanding Hawthorne Cougars by a score of 14-7. Kenji Tatum brings them up to the line of scrimmage once again, hands it off inside, and they're going to be stopped at the very short game. It's going to bring up a 4th down situation, and this time it'll be an obvious punting call for the Cougars as they're pinned deep in their own territory. Back deep to receive the punt for the Olympians is Jason Sharp. Everybody else is on the line of scrimmage. Looks like now you're going to have a flag and you may have offsides against the Olympians. And it is. So, offside penalty against the Olympians makes a 4th and 14, now a 4th and 9. Helps out the Hawthorne punter just a little bit. High snap, gets it down, kicks up. Fair catch signal by Jason Sharp, I should say. And at the Hawthorne 45-yard line, with 5:28 to go in the first half, Leuzinger goes on offense once again, leading right now by a score of 14-7. And as I said before, that Leuzinger side of the field has a lot of fans who are out here tonight. But this is one of the few games of the year that usually packs the stadium. Mix up in the backfield on the attempted handoff to number 12, Derek Norris. And he's going to be driven back inside Leuzinger territory, but I think they're officially going to spot it at about the 48-yard line of Hawthorne. So it's going to be a 3-yard loss on the play for him. Here you see on the replay that never quite got untracked as Norris and Jason Simmons run into each other. And the little thing that you see the referees throw there, fan, is a referee's reminder to himself of approximately where to spot the ball. But as you can see, the side judge had a much better view of it, and the ball was actually spotted 2 yards forward of where you saw him drop his indicator. Simmons rolling out left, throws deep. This is going to sail out of bounds. Pass intended for Aaron Williams. And Jason Simmons has played some pretty good football tonight, folks. After, as I said, a couple of games where he'd been somewhat erratic. In fact, he drew the ire of the fans at the Culver City game for a lot of his decision-making, but we saw improvement the next week against Santa Monica, and we're seeing even more improvement tonight. And that of course, is what high school athletics is all about. It's a learning process for all of these guys. And hopefully they'll develop a body of skills here. They'll enable them to go on and play at the next level. Here's another pass by Simmons, and it's going to sail out of bounds. So they're taking the safe route at least and throwing everything toward the side market, not wanting to risk interceptions against this very fine Cougar defense. And Hawthorne holds, and that makes it a 4th and 13 for Leuzinger now. And this should be a punting situation for the Olympians. Back to do the punting duty for them, of course, is Ron Nickerson. Back to receive for Hawthorne is Kelvin Hunter and Manjero Jones. Under some pressure, kick gets away though, takes a Hawthorne bounce back toward Leuzinger. One of the guys needs to get on it, and they finally do, but not until it rolls out across the 30-yard line. So at about their own 32-yard line now, Hawthorne will go on offense again at the 4:21 mark of the first half, trailing by a score of 14-7. And to give Ron Nickerson credit for a 16-yard punt on the play. Kenji Tatum brings him up to the line with a backfield of Khaleesi Moala and Eric Chaney. Hands off to Chaney. Chaney picks up good yardage on the play. Takes it out near the 40. Here you see on the replay the handoff to Chaney. Chaney comes right up the middle where he's met by number 12 for the Olympians. That's Derek Norris. Both lines of scrimmage are opening up big holes right now for their running game. And of course, Hawthorne's a little bit larger across the offensive line than Leuzinger is defensively. But sometimes size can work against you, especially if the other team has quickness, and Leuzinger certainly has a lot of that on their side of the ball. So you just about have to call that a push. It's Hawthorne's size against Leuzinger's quickness. We've got an official timeout on the field now as they're going to take a measurement. Hawthorne wants to know exactly how short they are. And you can see the indication there that they're short by just about that much. Just inches. So it's going to be 3rd down in inches. See the official there giving the indication to the Hawthorne coaching staff that it's 3rd in inches. Line of scrimmage is the 41-yard line of Hawthorne. They keep it on the ground. They pick up the 1st down. The question is, are they going to be able to stop him from getting a whole lot more? So on 3rd and inches, they pick up about 8 yards on the carry it out across the 50-yard line in Leuzinger territory at the Leuzinger 49, where it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Cougars with 3:07 left in the first half. They're trailing by a score of 14-7 to the visiting Leuzinger Olympians. Kenji Tatum brings him up to the line of scrimmage with Eric Chaney and Justin Stallings in the backfield with him now. He gives it to Chaney, and Chaney's going to be stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Aaron Williams down there under the pile. For the Olympians on the stop. They give him a gain of 2 yards on it. Once again, to keep it on the ground, this is Chaney. He slips before he's finally brought down. And he's brought down at about the 45-yard line. And now you're going to have another timeout taken by Hawthorne. It's going to be a 3rd down and 6 for the Cougars when we come out of the timeout. This has been an exciting second quarter, fans. We started the first quarter with both teams getting on track, getting settled down. It was a scoreless first quarter. Then on the first play of the second quarter, Don Williams ripped off a 15-yard touchdown run, and the extra point was good by Marco Velardo to give Leuzinger the early 7-0 lead. Hawthorne came right back on the next drive, and they scored on a 15-yard TD run by Raul Sanchez at the 9:54 mark. Tie the game. Extra point for them was also good. They tied the game at 7. Then Leuzinger took the kickoff, moved the ball down the field, and then on a 35-yard touchdown pass from Simmons to Aaron Williams, Leuzinger went back on top by a score 13-7, and of course Marco Velardo's extra point attempt was good there also, and that's where we stand right now. Leuzinger leads by a score of 14-7. We've got 2:11 left in the first half. Hawthorne moving, however. It's a 3rd down and 6 for them. Ball spotted at the Olympian 45-yard line. Kenji Tatum takes a snap, fakes the handoff, drops back to pass, rolling right, looking for a receiver. Has one tipped by number 12, Derek Norris for the Olympians, although the Hawthorne receiver, who in that particular case was Eric Chaney, did get his hands on it, but it fell incomplete. So it makes it a 4th down and 6. Here you'll see on the replay the fake to the running back there, then the pass there intended for Chaney. However, just a little out of his reach. So now it's a 4th down and 6 for Hawthorne. Hawthorne is showing the indication that they're going to go for it. Tatum brings them up to the line of scrimmage. Backfield is split. They send Chaney in motion. Tatum drops back to pass, dumps off a little screen pass, and that's not going to go anywhere. The screen pass was for Justin Stallings. In fact, they lose 2 yards on the play, so Leuzinger takes over at their own 48-yard line. 47, let's call it, where it's going to be a 1st and 10 now for the Olympians with 1:58 left in the first half. Leuzinger has a chance to tack a few more points onto this 14-7 lead that they now enjoy. This time Jason Simmons only has Roman Fernandez in the backfield with him. Fernandez is black. They're blocking. They're going for the pass play here, and it falls incomplete. Pass out in the right flat intended for Jason Sharp. Here again you see on the replay Fernandez in the back blocking for Simmons. Simmons goes to the right and just a little bit out of Jason Sharp's reach. Makes it a 2nd down and 10 now for the Olympians with 1:26 left in the first half. Once again, a single back in the backfield. Hawthorne shows blitz. Leuzinger line is able to contain it. Pass once again intended for Jason Sharp. This time it's incomplete. So Leuzinger's not burning a lot of time off the clock with these incompletions, although it looks like they're going for the quick strike. However, that may backfire on them, and they may end up giving the ball back to Hawthorne, with Hawthorne having an opportunity to get a score here before the half is over. Still a minute 21 left, and this is third down play for the Olympians, 3rd and 10. Referee throws a flag. Here's a pass out in the flat to Aaron Williams. Williams has it, has some running room. Another flag on the play. So we've got 2 flags on this play, and we'll have to wait for the officials to sort it out. We get a holding indication against the Olympians, as well as an indication of what would appear to be an ineligible man downfield. Referee still conferencing on the call. So Hawthorne declines both penalties that were against Leuzinger. An ineligible receiver downfield and holding as well. Brings up a 4th down for the Olympians. Ball at their own 48-yard line. Setting up to receive for Hawthorne on the punting situation once again is number 5, Kelvin Hunter, and number 7, Manjaro Jones. Ron Nickerson, of course, doing the punting for the Olympians. Ron's back at his own 33-yard line. Pretty good snap. Here's the punt. It's going to be just a little bit short, but let's see what happens. It's not going to be down by a Hawthorne player. It takes a Leuzinger roll to it, and it's finally touched down by the Olympians at the 20-yard line. So with 55 seconds left in the first half, Hawthorne does get a chance once again. You've got 55 seconds and 80 yards to go, trailing by a score of 14-7. Kenji Tatum in a shotgun formation. Quick pass across the middle. Pass intended for number 3, Omar Morgan, and the Leuzinger defender with the big hit there. In fact, Morgan had made the catch, but he was separated from the ball by the tenacious hit by the Leuzinger defender. This time, Kenji Tatum is under center. Drops back to pass. Is going to throw out here in the flat, and it's going to be incomplete. Pass intended for Justin Stallings. It was Jason Simmons, the Leuzinger Olympians quarterback, who doubles as a defensive back, who had the coverage against Justin Stallings, who, as I mentioned to you, is an all-state caliber player. And we're glad to see Justin back on the football field because we know that's where he wants to be. And, of course, it's a good indication that the early season knee injury was not as serious as once thought. Once again, here's a pass out in the flat. This pass is to Omar Morgan. So now we're going to have a timeout on the field. Once again, you see on the replay here, we'll dump off pass to Omar Morgan, get some running room, but he's going to be brought down before he reaches the 30-yard line, and that's where he needed to get for the first down. So it's a 4th and short for Hawthorne now. They do call a timeout. I'd be a little surprised if they went for it, even though there are only 9 seconds left in the first half. because the clock would stop on the change of possession, and Leuzinger would have chance, if they were unsuccessful, I'm saying. Leuzinger would have an opportunity to get away at least one play before the half. So it's been like a chess match so far, fans. Moves and counter moves. And right now, Leuzinger enjoys a 14-7 lead. As I say, this in essence for the Olympians is their first round playoff game. And for Hawthorne, it's a chance to be the Bay League champions of 1993 outright and not share it with anybody. So we see Hawthorne going for it on 4th and short. Here's a pass in the flat, and it's going to draw a flag. It's going to be interference against Leuzinger, and they're going to call interference against Marco Velardo on that play as he held up Omar Morgan. And that interference took place out near midfield. Once again, you see it on your replay here. You see the flag coming in. The interference actually took place a little bit before it came into your screen. So now there are 4 seconds left in the first half. 1st and 10 for Hawthorne. Ball's going to be spotted out at Hawthorne's 48-yard line. Where they're going to spot it officially, it appears, at about the Hawthorne 45. Tatum drops back to pass, and he's going to be brought down on the excellent defensive play by Rudy Casillas, and that's going to end the first half. So after one half, the visiting Leuzinger Olympians, playing for a share of the Bay League Championship for 1993, lead the Hawthorne Cougars, who are playing for the outright championship, by a score of 14-7. All right, fans, we're back, and we see the captains from both sides coming out the midfield to do the second half ceremonies. Although I'll venture a guess that Hawthorne's going to be receiving to start the second half, and Leuzinger will be kicking off. So while we've got a few minutes, why don't we have none other than the inimitable Alex Manila fill us in with some first half stats and also his thoughts about how this contest has gone so far. We know it's the big game, of course, and no one knows these guys better than our own Alex Manila. Alex.
Well, it's good to be here, Rufus, and I kind of missed you there, but I really want another perspective from the stands. From listening to the fans and talking to the coaches. These statistics at halftime are pretty depressing, but none whatsoever. I will proceed with them. Starting off with the tackles. Tackling for Hawthorne, a high tackler is Kavika Purcell, number 44, with 4 tackles, and Omar Morgan, number 3, matching his uniform with 3 tackles. And total offense for the Cougars, only 90 yards. Let's expect the Cougars to pick it up a bit since they are predominantly a second half team. Kenji Tatum is a very disappointing 2 for 8. Completed only 2 passes, 8 attempts for a career low 7 yards. And for Leuzinger High School, their total offense was 93 yards. The Olympians, their quarterback Jason Simmons completed also 2 passes, and his were for 2 out of 7 attempts for only 2 yards. That's pretty low. Those are Pop Warner type of statistics, but none whatsoever. Defensively, Ron Nickerson is the Olympian, one of their top men with 4 tackles. Marco Velardo is number 41 with 3 tackles. Rudy Casillas, 4 tackles up there with Ron Nickerson, and including 2 quarterback sacks. And number 85, Aaron Williams, has 2 tackles with 1 quarterback sack.
And that's why we've got a second here. As you said, you're out there in the stands tonight getting a feel of the emotions involved in this game. Why don't you tell us a little about what you're feeling? I took a look around, and boy, the Hawthorne side of the stadium, I can only see the Leuzinger side, and it's obviously packed, but Hawthorne side is actually overflowing. I mean, they have a full house here tonight.
That's right. I happen to have the luxury of sitting right outside the press box, sitting right next to Mr. Stallings. He introduced himself to me, and of course, Stallings, Justin, his son, is one of the star players for the Cougars. And he says the Cougars appear to be flat, as you can tell on that fumble right there is something very odd that Hawthorne isn't used to doing.
So Leuzinger kicks off to start the second half. Hawthorne downs it at about the 25-yard line by one of the up men, and that's where they'll go on offense to start it. 1st and 10 for them from the 25-yard line. As we said, a very emotional contest. Hawthorne stung just a little bit, I'm sure, being the favorite coming into this game. And right now they're trailing as we open the second half. They're trailing the Leuzinger Olympians by a score of 14-7. Kenji Tatum still under center, hands off. There's a fumble on the play, and it's going to be recovered by Leuzinger. And there's a big turnover that could change this game completely. Leuzinger already leading by 14-7. That was Kalisi Muala on the fumble. So on their first play from scrimmage to start the second half, Hawthorne fumbles deep in their own territory. At the 25-yard line, Leuzinger now goes on offense.
And see, that's something very odd that Hawthorne is not used to doing. They've had an 8-game winning streak, and they haven't played this poorly since they lost to Loyola in the first game of the season. So the Cougars appear to be flat, and let's hope they make a comeback.
So Jason Simmons, the quarterback, hands it off to Roman Fernandez, the workhorse. Fernandez pushes the pile forward for about 3 yards. So Leuzinger with an early, excellent opportunity here in the second half to extend their 14-7 lead.
It's pretty warm in here, Rufus, but I must attend back to my seat out there in the cold. Let's hope it doesn't rain, and if it does, I'll be right back in here. I'll be back here right in the last couple seconds of the second half to wrap up the scores and pretty much all the statistics for you, okay?
I appreciate it. We'll see you then, Alex. Once again, fans, that's Alex Manila, my regular partner, doing some outside duty tonight. Second down for the Olympians. Once again, they keep it on the ground. It's going to be, excuse me, a very short gain on the play that time by Fernandez. Takes it down inside the 20-yard line near the 17. So this Hawthorne crowd momentarily stunned by the turnover on their first play from scrimmage to start the second half, which gives Leuzinger the ball in excellent field position. It's a third down play for the Olympians, 3rd down and 5. And a big defensive play by Hawthorne. On the defensive play for them was number 51, Daniel Dorsey. And, of course, you expect that of a captain. He's 6 foot, 265-pound defensive tackle, senior for the Cougars. And now we're going to have a timeout on the field, and it's an early timeout being taken by the Olympians. So Leuzinger facing a 4th and 6 situation. Decide to talk about it, realizing that from this distance, probably a little bit beyond the capabilities of the field goal kicker. And of course, the Olympians are coached by Fred Boehm, and Hawthorne is coached by Dan Robbins. Both coaches, no doubt, spent a lot of time this week preparing their guys for this game, considering everything that was at stake. Leuzinger right now has been the more fortunate team based on the scoreboard, as they're leading by a score of 14-7 and threatening here again in the third quarter. And they're going to go for it on 4th and 6. But as I said, that's due more in part to an inadequate kicking game. Simmons drops back to pass. He's not going to be able to get rid of it. He's going to be taken down out at around the 25-yard line. So Hawthorne, their defense holds after the offense committed the early turnover. And now they get the ball back at their own 25-yard line, where it's going to be 1st and 10 for them. So the Cougars dodge a bullet there, and now they've got a chance to redeem themselves and hopefully tie this ball game up. Hopefully that is, if you're a fan of the Hawthorne Cougars. If you're a Leuzinger's fan, you're obviously expecting your team now to play some pretty good defense. We've got an injured Olympian down on the field. We aren't able to ascertain who it is right now. But let me remind you once again, fans, that obviously as we head into the second season, that being postseason play, as hopefully both of these teams will be vying for a piece of the Division III championship, Channel 60 hopes to be there with you throughout the playoff season. And that's Jason Simmons, the quarterback, fans, being helped off the field, and that could be a very, very critical injury to the Leuzinger cause. Looks like it was a leg injury to Jason. They keep the ball on the ground. That's Khaleesi Muala with the carry. And it's going to be stopped after a very short gain. Most of the carrying for the Olympians is done by Khaleesi Muala, of course, along with Eric Cheney. Eric Cheney gets the lion's share of that work. As I was telling you before, Eric Cheney coming in with 896 yards on the season. Khaleesi Muala coming in with 507 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 7.8 yard per carry gain average. This time it's Cheney with it. He breaks through the line, and he's finally brought down by Will Moreland. Will Moreland with a touchdown-saving tackle, but the big carry by Eric Cheney takes the ball out to the 40-yard line. So it's going to be a 1st down and 10 now for the Cougars at their own 41-yard line. They're trailing by a score of 14-7. We've got 8:24 to go in the third quarter. Hawthorne on the move. And you're going to have offsides against the Olympians. That was number 41, Marco Velardo, who jumped. So that's going to make a 1st and 10 now, a 1st and 5 for Hawthorne. So Leuzinger showing a bit of a blitz here, and Velardo just mistimed his jump and moved a little too soon. Once again, they keep it on the ground, and they're breaking through the initial line. They're taking advantage of Leuzinger anticipating the run, and the guys are overcommitting themselves, and every time they do that, Eric Cheney is knocking off big yardage on his carries. Here you see on the replay Eric Cheney coming through the middle of the crowd, and he's finally brought down by Derek Norris. But not before he picks up a 1st down. The spot is at the 46-yard line of Leuzinger. 1st and 10 again for Hawthorne. Once again, they keep it on the ground. And with the carry this time is Omar Morgan. And Omar carries it out near a 1st down, picks up about 8 yards on the carry. Let's call it a 2nd down and 2. Kenji Tatum, number 16, the quarterback, normally clad in number 4, has in the backfield with them Khaleesi Muala and Omar Morgan, and we got flags all over the place. And looks like this time it may be against Hawthorne. And it is, so that's going to back them up 5 yards. A break for the Olympians makes it a 2nd down and 6 now. And this time they come out of the I formation and they go into a split. Kenji Tatum drops back to pass. Pass is going to be incomplete. Pass intended for Monjero Jones. Jones, of course, 6'1", 170-pound senior. playing the split end, doubles as a cornerback on defense. So it's a 3rd down and 6 now for Hawthorne. Ball at the 41-yard line of Leuzinger. They give it to Cheney. Cheney keeps it on the ground. He's going to be out near 1st down. Looks like they're going to stop him just short of it. It's going to bring up an interesting decision for the Hawthorne coaching staff. Looks like it's going to be a 4th and... This is a 4th and long 2. And Hawthorne's going for it here. So a test for the Leuzinger defense as well as a test for the Hawthorne offense. They keep it on the ground, and they're going to be awfully close. This will depend on the spot, however. No official signal yet. This one may require a measurement. And it will. You're going to have an official measurement, and this is going to be a big, big measurement here. Let's see if we can get our cameras in here and see exactly how close this is either way. And they make it just by half a length of a football. It's a 1st down for Hawthorne. So at the 5:59 mark of the 3rd quarter, with Hawthorne trailing by a score of 14-7, they pick up a big, big 1st down on the 4th down play to keep their drive alive. They're at the Leuzinger 36-yard line approximately. The handoff once again to Cheney. Cheney's working around the corner. Cheney splits a couple of defenders before he's finally brought down, but not until he picks up about 15 yards on the carry, enough for another 1st down as they take it down now inside the Leuzinger 20-yard line. And the size of Hawthorne starting to assert itself. Once again, you see on the replay here, Tatum handing off to Cheney. Cheney going out right and turning it back inside before he's finally brought down by Leuzinger defenders. And the big Hawthorne offensive line, of course, includes the Camacho brothers, Ricardo and David. And those two guys alone go 265 and 295 respectively. And that can open up a whole lot of holes for you. They keep the ball on the ground again. And they pick up very few yards, I should say, on that particular carry, about 2 yards. Makes it a 2nd down and 8 for Hawthorne now. Ball spotted inside the 20. Once again, they hand it off to Cheney, and he's going to pick up a few more yards here, but it's going to be short of a 1st down. Need to get down inside the 10, near the 5 for the 1st down. Officially indicated as a 3rd down and 5 for Hawthorne. Clock moving at the 4:15 mark of the 3rd quarter. Hawthorne's been very impressive on this drive. This time they come out with their standard backfield, and now we've got flags on the play. I think it's going to be an indication of too much time taken by the excuse me please, by the Hawthorne offense. Delay of game signaled by the officials. So that's going to make a 3rd and 5, a 3rd and 10 now for Hawthorne. Backfield is split. Tatum drops back to pass, and it's incomplete. But there's a flag on the play. Pass intended for Justin Stallings. And we've got a flag on the play, folks, and that looks like it's going to be defensive interference against Leuzinger. Here you see the replay. And right there, you see Jason Simmons in on the play. And although it may go against Leuzinger, what is good about that is that Jason Simmons is back on the field. So it's going to be a 1st and goal for Hawthorne now. Ball appears to be spotted at about the 10-yard line. They keep it on the ground. That's number 8 with the carry for them, Raul Sanchez. And Sanchez picks up about 3 yards on the carry. Actually, the ball was spotted at the 5-yard line, as according to the official field marker, because it indicates 1st and 5. Of course, now it's 2nd down. Once again, they keep it on the ground. That's Cheney, and Cheney, once again, is going to be stopped short of the goal line. And there on the tackle, amongst others, for Leuzinger was number 41, Marco Villado. 3rd and goal now for the Cougars, excuse me. They're threatening here, attempting to tie this ball game. They're trailing by a score of 14-7. And boy, if they get this across, this crowd is going to erupt. The crowd rises in a crescendo of cheers. Inside handoff. Handed off to number 3, and he's going to get in for the touchdown. That's Omar Morgan with a 3-yard touchdown run at the 2:30 mark of the 3rd quarter, and Hawthorne's drawn to within a point, looking to tie this game up on the extra point attempt. Here you see the replay, the inside handoff. Morgan has the angle, and by the time he's brought down, he's already scored the touchdown. Extra point attempt is up, and it's good. So, the score now stands. Hawthorne 14, Leuzinger 14. Hawthorne kicking off. So that big 4th down play, which kept the Hawthorne drive going, where they picked up the 1st down just by about half a football, they're able to keep it going and convert it for a touchdown. And now the Hawthorne crowd is back into the game in a very loud and boisterous way, but in a fun sort of way. Here's a kickoff. It's going to be taken by Jason Sharp when he picks it up, and he finally does. And Sharp's going to be brought down inside the 20-yard line, it would appear. So from there, Leuzinger will go on offense. Now we've got a whole new ball game. Score 14-14. And Jason Simmons is in at quarterback. Hands it off. It's going to be stopped for no gain on the play. That was Derek Norris with the ball. In fact, they're going to give him a loss of 1 on the play. Makes it a 2nd down and 11 for the Olympians now. Backfield is split for the Olympians. And once again, no gain on the play. A big hit by the Leuzinger defenders as they bring down Derek Norris once more. Leuzinger now taking some backward steps. And we've got an indication of a timeout on the field. And we see what appears to be Aaron Williams coming off a little shaken up. And it is Aaron Williams, number 85 for the Olympians. This is a 3rd and 13 play for Leuzinger. And Jason Simmons calls his own number. Comes up short of the 1st down. It was a good call, however. For a moment there, it looked like he might have been able to pick it up. And Simmons is getting up slowly. But he does get up to his feet and he walks off under his own steam. Leuzinger now will have to punt to Hawthorne Cougars, who've got some momentum going. Back deep to receive for the Cougars is Kelvin Hunter, number 5, and Monjero Jones, number 7. Ron Nicholson, of course, doing the punting duty for the Olympians. It's a high snap. He gets it down. He gets a kick away. And it's going to take a good Leuzinger roll. And it's touchdown. It's touched by the Olympians right at the midfield stripe. So, from midfield, with the score tied 14-14, Hawthorne now goes on offense, seeking to take their first lead of the game. They trailed by a score of 7-0 early in the second. They came back to tie it up at 7. Leuzinger went back on top by a score of 14-7. And now here in the 3rd quarter, Hawthorne has come back to tie it. They've never had the lead in tonight's contest. And that ends 3 quarters of play. So when we start the 4th quarter, fans, Hawthorne will have the ball. It'll be 1st and 10 for them. Ball placed squarely on the midfield stripe. And while we had a chance, I want to say that that was an outstanding performance by the Hawthorne marching band, along with the flag girls and the drill team. I mean, just an outstanding performance. One of the finest performances that I've seen in a long, long time by a high school marching band. Those young people are to be commended for the effort and dedication that they obviously show to their craft. And it was certainly demonstrated to all of the fans assembled here tonight. 1st down play, Tatum drops back to pass. He has a man in the flat who's wide open. There's the Leuzinger defender within 20 yards of him. That's a touchdown. And that's going to be a touchdown to Omar Morgan. 50-yard touchdown pass from Kenji Tatum to Omar Morgan. And there, Hawthorne takes their first lead of the game by a score of 20-14. Here you see on the replay, no one's even near Omar Morgan. The closest person to him is Derek Norris, and he can't get there in time. And Norris, in an act of frustration, kicks the pylon away. A blown coverage by one of the Olympians, obviously. Extra point attempt here coming up for Hawthorne. An all-important extra point attempt. The kick is up. And it's good. So Hawthorne, at the 11:52 mark of the 4th quarter, on a 50-yard touchdown pass, take their first lead of the game. And now we'll have to see what kind of resiliency resides in the hearts and bodies of the Leuzinger football team. Because now the score is against them, the crowd's against them, although they've got a host of fans of their own over on their side of the field cheering them on. Fortunately, in their favor right now is the clock. And they're going to need to make something happen on this drive coming up in order to get back into this football game. Don Williams and Jason Sharp are back to receive for the Olympians. Bit of a breeze in the air tonight, affecting the ability of the football to stay on the tee, and once again you see it falling off. So now they'll Omar Morgan, who's doing a little bit of everything. He just caught the 50-yard touchdown pass. You'd think they'd give him a rest. Well, I guess maybe this is his way of getting a rest. Big kick. Kick going to be taken by number 3, Jason Sharp. Sharp heads up the middle. He's got some initial contact. He's still on his feet. He may get around this. If he does, he has some running room. And he's finally going to be brought down at his own 20-yard line. So now the Hawthorne Cougars playing some inspired defense. And the crowd clearly into it. Leuzinger, of course, now needing some big plays to get back in this ball game. Here you see the replay of the kickoff. Jason Sharp breaks a couple of tackles, reverses field. Now he's got most of the defenders behind him, and if he could have broken it there, he had a couple of guys to beat. If he could have gotten through those guys, he would have knocked off some big yardage. Simmons fakes the pass, drops back the pass rather, and just overshoots his receiver, intended for number 21 for the Olympians, and of course that's Darrell Butler. Excellent pass by Jason Simmons that was just a little too long. There you see on the replay, missed him, oh gosh, by maybe a yard and a half, if that much. Of course, that burns up one of their downs on the incompletion. And when that happens, it certainly affects your strategy, because now essentially you've got 2 downs to pick up 10 yards. Still plenty of time, however, fans. We've got 11:18 to go in the contest. But Hawthorne playing for the Bay League Championship leads by a score of 21-14. This time to keep it on the ground, pitching it back to Donald Williams. And the Hawthorne defenders stack him up at the line of scrimmage. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 10 for Leuzinger. Do you sense the Leuzinger Olympians tightening up just a little bit? They shouldn't be. They've still got plenty of time left in this ball game, fans. However, they need a conversion here. It's 3rd and 10. Ball at their own 20-yard line. Fernandez in the backfield along with Don Williams. They fake it. Simmons still on his feet, needing the pass. Simmons is going to run. Now he's going to be stacked up at the line of scrimmage. And that's going to bring up a 4th down. An obvious punting situation for Leuzinger. So Hawthorne played excellent defense on that series of downs. They held Leuzinger to actually no positive yardage on the play. And now Ron Nickerson's punting from inside his 10-yard line. There's a snap. It's a little bit high. He gets it down. It's a poor punt. It's out at the 40-yard line, taking a Leuzinger roll. Though looks like it's going to roll just about to the midfield stripe again, and it does. So, the last time Hawthorne was here, they struck for a 50-yard touchdown pass to Omar Morgan. And that's where they'll start again, at the midfield stripe, where it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Cougars with 9:30 left in the contest. They're leading by a score of 21-14. The Bay League Championship on the line. They keep it on the ground. Pitch back to Eric Cheney. Cheney's picking up good yardage. Cheney picks up almost enough for the first down. Depends on the official spot. Leuzinger can ill afford another score at this point. However, their defense is certainly going to have to knuckle down here if they expect to remain in contention in this contest. It's a 2nd and 1 for the Cougars now. And as I said, that huge offensive line of the Hawthorne Cougars coming into play now against the undersized Leuzinger defensive line. And Cheney's going to pick up enough for the first down. He only needed a foot, and he got 2. And of course, a Leuzinger defeat would drop their overall record to 5-5. And I got to be honest, fans, and tell you, it's real questionable as to whether or not 5-5 would be good enough to get you into the CIF playoffs. Kenji Tatum calls his own number, keeps it himself, picks up maybe 2 yards on the play. I can only assume that that's Hawthorne's attempt at working the clock just a little bit, and also somewhat of a surprise play, I would expect, since they've been calling Cheney's number quite a bit recently. And of course, the last time, their last possession, they went with the passing game that worked so successfully. So now Leuzinger's defense is just a little bit off balance, because Hawthorne's offense has demonstrated its versatility. This time on the inside handoff, they give it to number 8, and he's going to be stopped after a very short gain. That's Raul Sanchez. It's going to make it a 3rd down and 8 for Hawthorne now. Leuzinger desperately needing a big defensive play here. They're in an I formation with Khaleesi Muala and Eric Cheney. He drops back to pass, pulls it down. He's going to be dropped short of the first down. As a matter of fact, it's going to be way short of the first down. It's going to be a 4th and 5. And we'll see how the Hawthorne coaching staff elects to play this situation. We've got 6:40 clock rolling left in the contest. Hawthorne leading by a score of 21-14. There you saw the replay where Kenji Tatum was brought down. Hawthorne's going for it here, knowing that if they pick up the first down, that may well be it for Leuzinger. And they aren't going to get it, however. So Leuzinger's defense is going to hold and give their offense one more opportunity. There was Eric Cheney with the 4th down carry. Leuzinger defenders, however, among them Aaron Williams being one to stop him. So it's going to be a first down for Leuzinger. Ball spotted outside the 30-yard line, inside the 35, somewhere in there. But whatever, Leuzinger's got a long way to go and a little bit of time to get there. 5:45 left in the contest. Hawthorne shows blitz, drops out of it. Jason Simmons calls his own number, still has it. Simmons is going to pick up pretty good yardage on the play as he takes it out across the 40-yard line. Here you see the replay, and I thought I saw a flag go down in there. And this flag's going against Leuzinger. Official signal of holding on the Olympians. So that's going to back them up 10 yards. Makes it a first down and 15 now for Leuzinger. They spotted at the 28-yard line. Simmons on the center, pitches back to Ron Nickerson. Simmons goes out in the flat, and it's intercepted. It's intercepted by Hawthorne. A trick play for the Olympians backfires on them as Monjero Jones at the 5-minute mark comes up with a big interception. And fans, that may spell the end of the Leuzinger hopes for tonight and possibly for this season. But let's see what happens. Obviously, Hawthorne now will go into the ball control offense. Kenji Tatum still under center, hands it off to Eric Chaney, and Eric Chaney's met at the line of scrimmage, and a flag comes in from the side judge. Looks like they're going to mark this off against Hawthorne. And they mark off 10 yards holding against the Hawthorne Cougars. That takes the ball back to the 35-yard line, for it to be a first down and 20 now for Hawthorne. And that penalty certainly was a break for the Olympians. However, the clock is rolling at the 4:45 mark. Tatum sends Chaney in motion, hands off to Kalisa Muala. Kalisa Muala heads out toward the left side, but he's going to be brought down after a pick of about 5 yards. It's going to make it a third down and 15 for Hawthorne now. We're approaching the 4-minute mark left in the contest. Maybe the Olympians will get their hands on the ball one more time. Of course, they're going to need to come up with a big stop here. It's a second down, rather. If I say it third, I'm sorry. It's a second and 15 for the Cougars. Here's Kenji Tatum. They send Omar Morgan in motion toward the left side. Tatum drops back. The pass goes across the middle, and there's not an official signal. Well, they do signal that it's a reception. Official initially looked like he wanted to signal incomplete, and I tell you, fans, that was awfully close. Let's see if we've got a replay on that. Here we see Tatum dropping back the pass, going over the middle. We can't tell from that angle, but it was real close, and that guy who signaled the catch there, for a second, he thought it was incomplete, that he had trapped it. But it makes it a third down and 2 now. Leuzinger needing a big defensive play here. Another first down would most assuredly spell the end of the game. And they're going to get Tatum on the big third down play. They drop him back out across the 25-yard line. And that's going to make it 4th and long now for Hawthorne with 2:51 left in the contest, clock moving. Leuzinger's defense comes up with a monumental third down play. Makes it a 4th and 10 now for Hawthorne. And decision-making time by the Hawthorne coaching staff, as you see Kenji Tatum looking over to the sideline for some guidance. He gets it. Now he goes back to the huddle, brings his boys up to the line of scrimmage. Leuzinger, of course, knowing that they now need to make a huge play. And now we're going to see a timeout taken on the field. Delay of game call, rather, against Hawthorne. It's going to back them up 5 more yards out to their 30-yard line, where it's going to make it a 4th and 15. And now we've got Hawthorne taking a timeout. So fans, it's come down to this. The Bay League Championship has come down to a 4th down play by the Cougars. From their own 30-yard line, they're leading by a score of 21-14. Leuzinger hoping to get their hands back on the ball one more time. And of course, if you want to be positive and think just a little bit ahead, let's say the Olympians are able to stop them here. Let's say the Olympians are able to go downfield and score the touchdown. The question then becomes, do they go for the tie or will they go for the win? Maybe we'll be confronted with that situation. Maybe we won't. But that's why we play the games. And we're going to be right here until that clock shows all zeros on it. And we'll be able to show you right here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 60 exactly who won and who lost. But no matter what, both of these teams have had excellent regular seasons. Leuzinger, a little bit up, a little bit down, but that was to be expected. They had a lot of players that were breaking in for the first time this year. Of course, they also had their 4th coach in 4 years. Coach Fred Bohm, however, has done an excellent job under the situation. Now you see the 4th down play. They keep it on the ground. Kendrick Tatum still has it, and he's going to be sacked back at the 35-yard line. So Leuzinger at their own 35-yard line takes over on downs. They've got 65 yards to go to get in the end zone, and they've got 2 minutes, 10 seconds to do it. And this, of course, is a 4-down situation for them. You won't have to wonder what they're going to do, even if it's 4th and 50. You can rest assured they're going for it. Roman Fernandez, the only back in the backfield. They fake it to him. They hand it to Jason Sharp. Jason Sharp is running backwards. Jason Sharp trying to break tackles. He can't do it. Jason Sharp loses 10 yards on the play. Guys, I was only kidding when I said if it was 4th and 50, you'd go for it. But now that makes it 2nd and 20 for the Olympians with 1:25 left in the contest. Sands of time. Here you see on the replay, Jason Sharp can't get turned upfield as he's brought down by a couple of Hawthorne defenders. 2nd down and 22 for the Olympians. Simmons fakes the pass. Simmons drops back the pass. He's being heavily pursued. Needs to get rid of it. It's going to be run out of bounds out near the 35-yard line. So he picks up 7 of the 10 that they lost, makes it a 3rd and 13 now for Leuzinger. We're under a minute left, fans. We've got 58 seconds from Hellcat Field at Hawthorne High School. Hawthorne right now has the Bay League Championship in their hands. The question is, can they hold on to it? Leuzinger, which was playing for a share of first place in the Bay League, coming out of this, may end up in 3rd place. Leuzinger now signals for timeout. And fans, I'm sure most of you fans are familiar with what was at stake. I'll recap it for you again. Hawthorne, obviously, with a victory, wins the Bay League Championship outright. Leuzinger, with a victory, would force what would most likely be a 3-way tie. And we say most likely because Peninsula still has to play tomorrow night at Inglewood. And, of course, Peninsula goes into that contest with an overall record of 8-1. Inglewood comes in with a record of 1-8. And if I were a betting man, obviously I'd be betting that Peninsula would win tomorrow night's contest. And that, of course, with a Leuzinger, coupled with a Leuzinger victory tonight, would create the 3-way tie. However, if Hawthorne wins tonight, all that goes out the window, I should say. Excuse me. I'm excited here. I've been excited the whole game. I've been, and I'm not an alumni of either school, but I've been around both of these teams for a lot of years, and I think I get about as excited in anticipation of this game as any fan does. And it certainly lived up to its expectations. 3rd and 14 for the Olympians. Simmons drops back the pass, goes over the middle, hits Aaron Williams for the first down. The referee's signal indicate that it is a first down, and that takes it out near the 50-yard line, right at the 49. 51 seconds left. The clock stops momentarily while the officials move the chains, but the Olympians pick up the all-important first down and to keep this drive going. They've got 50 yards to go, 52 yards to be exact. Here you see the replay. We didn't quite pick it up there, but you saw Aaron Williams going down, and he came up with the ball, and they said it was a reception. So Jason Simmons once again drops back the pass. Jason Simmons under pursuit, gets the pass away, hits his receiver over the middle. Receiver makes a poor decision. That was Jason Sharp by turning back into the middle of the field. Now you're going to have official stoppage of the clock, and those 31 seconds moved awfully fast there, fans. And the Olympians take a timeout. Here you see the replay. You see Jason Sharp turning back into the field as opposed to perhaps making a wiser decision and heading toward the out of bounds. So now, Hawthorne, within 20 seconds of clinching the Bay League title. And down on the sideline, if you can get a picture of that, guys, you see a couple of the Hawthorne players with the bucket of water. And you don't have to guess who that's intended for if they come away with this win. I think that water is going to be intended for the head coach of Hawthorne. Of course, that's Dan Robbins, but we've got 20 seconds to go. Simmons drops back the pass. They flood the field with receivers. Simmons is going to have to let it go soon, and he does. And it's going to be incomplete, nearly intercepted. 11 seconds left. Flag on the play, however. And we've got an injured Olympian also down on the field, and that looks like Jason Simmons. I'd have to tell you that I was looking away from the play. And we're going to have a Hawthorne player, would appear, that's been disqualified in this contest. I was looking downfield. This is going to be a major, major, major penalty against the Cougars. I'm going to step up. Excuse me, fans, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get some additional information on exactly what occurred there, but right now Jason Simmons is still down on the field. If you will allow me a moment, we'll try to get an indication for you of exactly what happened there. So there was a roughing the passer call there against Hawthorne, which moved the ball even deeper into Hawthorne territory. And now we've got a momentary stoppage in the play as we've got extracurricular activities over on the Leuzinger side of the field. And you see the security coming to attend to the situation, and this is starting to get just a little bit out of hand. However, the game is still being played on the field. And we got flags on the play. Ron Nickerson dropping back the pass. He floods the end zone, and it's going to be intercepted. And that looks like Monjero Jones with his second interception of the game, and there's 1 second left. And with that 1 second, it's a Cougar ball. There was a penalty against Leuzinger for a delay of game. Now you're going to see Ron Nickerson on the replay dropping back the pass. And the pass when it was intercepted in the end zone by number 7, Manjero Jones. And folks, that's going to be the ball game. And now you see the Leuzinger crowd disgracing themselves. And I wish I could put it more politely or more delicately, but the best thing to do is to be realistic and to call it the way it is. Whatever the extracurricular activities that are going on their side of the field that have drawn the attention of the law enforcement personnel that's present tonight was certainly unnecessary and uncalled for. The idea was to come and enjoy the ball game no matter how it turned out. Right now it's going to turn out in favor of the Hawthorne Cougars, who rallied on 3 different occasions in this game. And Hawthorne's going to go away with the victory. And fans, there you have them. You see them running onto the field. The 1993 Bay League champions outright, the Hawthorne Cougars. And we offer our congratulations to them and wish them well. Right now, things are not going too well temper-wise by the Leuzinger players. However, this is a time when you exhibit sportsmanship. It was a game well played, and they're having to get a lot of the extra people off the field and attempt to keep this situation in a sportsmanlike fashion. Let's see if the players are able to maintain that as they go through the customary post-game handshake. I think it's going to be important for these players to be symbolic here, if nothing else, in order to keep the crowd emotion somewhat under control. I think if they can see the players exhibit good sportsmanship, that may and hopefully will induce the crowd to act in like manner. And things seem to be well contained on the field. The players are showing a great deal of restraint and respect. Obviously, there's a great deal of disappointment over on that Leuzinger side of the field. That's to be expected. That's in any contest. All of these guys are competitors. Both sides wanted to win. Last year it was Leuzinger's turn. This year it's Hawthorne's turn. But Leuzinger has nothing to be ashamed about their effort. A couple of things didn't go their way in the second half. A couple of things went Hawthorne's way. Hawthorne was able to come away with the victory. Let's recap the second half scoring, which basically was all Hawthorne. They scored at the 2:30 mark of the third quarter on a 3-yard touchdown run by Morgan. That tied the game up at 14-14 with the extra point, of course. Then at the 11:52 mark of the fourth quarter, Hawthorne scored on a 50-yard touchdown pass from Kenji Tatum to Morgan, and that gave Hawthorne their first lead of the game. And, of course, they were able to maintain that lead, and they'll leave away from here tonight with the 21-14 victory. We've got a chance to get some additional information and some additional insight from my partner, Alex Manila, who's joined us back here in the stadium, in the press box. Alex, please.
Well, one of the reasons I'm able to get the cooperation here is by all these fantastic stats is by Dale Craig and Joe Chavez, the announcer and sports statisticians here. They've been doing it for 10 years. I'd like to give credit where credit is due. Final stats, Jason Simmons was 3 for 10 for 28 yards. Total offense for the Olympians, 118 yards. And minus 2 yards rushing in the second half. Kenji Tatum was 4 for 11. The Cougars had 169 yards rushing for a total of 240 yards in the game. Once again, sad ending to a great game. Unfortunately, a couple bad apples like last week had to spoil the game, and not too good of timing for the police to put on their sirens. I don't think the Hawthorne police, would have put on their sirens had Hawthorne had the ball with 11 seconds and the game on the line.
Sure.
So you know, it could have went either way. A tough ball game. You got to give credit where credit is due. This is going to prepare both teams for the playoffs.
Good. And Alex, let me just ask you, and guys down in the truck, if you'll bear with us for about another 30 to 45 seconds, we'll wrap it up here. But I do want to ask Alex, because this is very important. Leuzinger's record falls to 5-5. Do you think they still have a playoff shot?
In pretty much, they're going by their overall record. Correct in CIF. But for the Bay League standings, they should enter in as the third place team.
Okay, well, that certainly would be good news to the Olympian fans if it works out that way for them, and let's hope it does. And as I said to you, Channel 60 right now, as we speak, is working on securing the rights to broadcast some of the playoff contests for you. We don't have it ironed out right now, but hopefully by the time this telecast is aired, we will. And of course, if we do, we'll certainly make you aware of where we're going to be and who we're going to be covering. So once again, on this Veterans Day 1993, the Hawthorne Cougars at home before a capacity crowd come away with a 21-14 victory, and they win the Bay League Championship outright. Just want to say also congratulations to the Leuzinger Olympians for having played a very fine ball game, and we hope that all of you will exit the stadium safely tonight and get home. And I want you to join us again right here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 60, as always under the direction of Mike Galarza. Tonight, ably assisted by Tom Strickfaden, along with Rami on camera, and Brian. For Alex Manila and all those guys, I'm Rufus Washington, saying it's been a great pleasure being with you this regular season, and I look forward to seeing you in the playoffs. Good night.